Hello fellow football connoisseurs and welcome back to the quick take. Lots and lots of news to get into today. Of course, the news broke regarding Chelsea's dangers with FFP as a £100 million sum is needed to be raised by the 30th of June to avoid any punishment from the Premier League, any point deductions, potential relegation maybe, but we'll get into that in just a minute. And then we have some other news regarding Badiashile, Mudryk, and going over a quote from Pochettino. Before I continue, I would like to quickly remind you I am running a giveaway with OwnASaber.com where at 15,000 subscribers you could be in with a chance at winning the King of London lightsaber, the perfect saber for every Chelsea fan. 3 participants will be chosen and all you have to do to enter is subscribe to the channel and check the pinned comment down below for more information. And with that, on with the video. So, this coming in from TalkSport. Chelsea told they need to sell £100 million worth of homegrown talent by June or fall foul of FFP. Now, I've already ran the numbers, and I actually don't think Chelsea are in as bad a position as some may believe. So, basically, we have Lewis Hall, who joined Newcastle on loan, and we will be receiving £28 million for him, and I think that rises to £35 million at one point, but £28 million for him come the summer. So that's already 28 million. Ian Maatsen, before he went on loan to Borussia Dortmund, and he's been doing quite well there, we gave him a new contract, which included a £35 million release clause. If that release clause isn't met, he doesn't get sold. But it is understood that there will be interested clubs following the end of his loan, and so that would be another 35 million. That alone is already over 60 million pounds already in 2 homegrown players. Armando Broja, 25 to 30 million pounds. I know we say we're looking for 50 million pounds, 60 million pounds, but I think when push comes to shove and that when we need to sell players, the owners are going to be far more realistic with their pricing, and I think that they will accept offers of around 25 to 30 million pounds. I'm going to say 25 million pounds. Romelu Lukaku, another big one people are kind of forgetting, and we will be taking a hit. He's not homegrown, obviously we paid a lot of money for him, but I think, or at least the asking price for Chelsea for the Belgian striker's signature is £37 million, and in my opinion, the most likely destination for him going forward is Saudi Arabia. I think Lukaku to Saudi Arabia makes a lot of sense. He still has a big name, relatively big name in the world of football, and he has advocated for the Saudi League. Of course, Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabian League, Saudi Arabian football, they're having a little bit of a tough time at the moment with the players wanting to leave, big players wanting to leave, so to actually have a player who actively wants to join you, I'm sure that they would lap that up, and of course they can cover his wage demands. They've got money for days basically, and that alone is already £125 million raised. 88 million of that is just pure profit from the academy, and that's not even taking into account the likes of Trevor Chalobah, who apparently may be available in the summer for £25 million. Of course he wasn't able to be sold come the January transfer window, along with the likes of maybe Raheem Sterling, not homegrown but a player we could sell, £35 million. I think that we would look to try and get him sold for maybe £30 million. Maybe even Ben Chilwell, maybe £25 million there. He hasn't really been that available, and we saw how he played against Liverpool. Again, he's been out of action for a while, so you would expect him to be a bit rusty, but yeah, Ben Chilwell may be looked at as one of the players to be sold come the summer transfer window. Of course, Marc Cucurella, another name that could be sold, maybe the 30 million there. And then of course, the big name Conor Gallagher there, who's been linked with a move away for Chelsea for some time now, and with talks stalling around a new contract. And as he comes into the final year of his contract in the summer, Chelsea may be forced to sell him for around £45 million. So with all of that taken into account, except for maybe Marc Cucurella, that's £255 million. That's £250 million raised already. I may have even lowballed a few of those prices. I think we may be able to get a little bit more from Armando Broja, maybe £35 million, depends on his loan to Fulham goes. Of course, Trevor Chalobah, maybe £30 million. Again, maybe £30 million for Ben Chilwell, so £5–10 million here and there. But will it all be done before the 30th of June? That is the big question, and I obviously don't think so. But I would imagine we get a lot of work done pretty early on come the summer to balance the books, and I would imagine we'd sell enough to the point that we're okay. I can imagine there'd be a decision made before the summer to sell someone like Conor Gallagher. If there is absolutely no progression whatsoever and a new deal looks unlikely, they will want him gone as soon as possible, because that is their biggest asset, in my opinion, in terms of pure profit from the academy. Of course, he's been one of our best players this season. A lot of people won't want him to go. it also depends on the future of Maurizio Pochettino, who I'll get onto later. Of course, he's been a big advocate for the Englishman to stay, but if he goes and Conor Gallagher is as imperative to his tactics as fish are to the ocean, then I can't really see a future for Conor Gallagher at this club, unfortunately. And so they will want to get that big chunk of money in so we can cover at least half the cost of what we need to cover before the 30th of June. And then, of course, the Ian Matson money comes in. So that's £85 million or £80 million around that ballpark. And then the Lewis Hall money. So you've only really got to sell, once you sold Conor Gallagher, Ian Matson, who we will be flogging, obviously, for £35 million, and then Armando Broja. So really, I actually think the whole Chelsea are in crisis videos, yes, I'm looking at you, Mark, I think they're a little bit blown out of proportion. Now, I did call this happening. I can't remember if it was on one of my older videos or if it was during a watch-along, but I knew this was going to happen. You cannot invest £1 billion worth of players. Yes, we've made player sales, but you cannot invest £1 billion worth of players and then wait a number of years before they start bringing in any real money when it comes to competition, when it comes to making Europe, when it comes to winning trophies, when it comes to winning Premier Leagues. You cannot do that, because you will get caught out by FFP. Do you know what brings in a lot of money? Winning things. If you're not in Europe, you're not getting good sponsors. And that means the Air Jordan deal, one of the most lucrative sponsors in football going right now. We would miss out on that if we do not get Europe this summer. And now we're at a point where we need to sell players like Conor Gallagher, where we need to sell players like Ian Matson and Broja and Lewis Hall and Trevor Chalobah and all these other players in order to just stay afloat. It'd be very, very interesting to see what Chelsea do come the summer transfer window. Of course, we did have quite a quiet January transfer window, and it'd be interesting to see if we do get hit with any punishment from FFP. I will certainly be keeping an eye on any updates regarding that. But that is not the only news today. No, I did mention Benoit Badiashile, Mudryk, and even Maurizio Pochettino. So I'm going to start off with Benoit Badiashile. AC Milan had a full agreement with Benoit Badiashile, but Chelsea blocked the transfer as he started playing regularly. This is coming in from Damasio via Football Italia. Now, this is a rather interesting one. Of course, Benoit Badiashile, he had a slow start to the season. I think he had an injury. He's only just coming back recently, and since then he hasn't been playing to his full potential. He hasn't been playing very well, in my opinion. He's made mistakes, and he's looked a bit shaky in the defense. And so in hindsight, I mean, hindsight is 2020. In hindsight, of course, maybe we could have considered taking that money and then investing, and then selling Trevor Chalobah, and then investing that money into a more experienced name. But that wasn't the only news today. No, shortly after that, we had an update regarding Mudryk, and this is quite an interesting one. Bayern Munich briefly looked at bringing Mudryk in on loan. This would have been ideal, because I really do think Mudryk needs a loan outside of the Premier League, as much as it hurts me to say. But the fact that he's barely starting under Maurizio Pochettino recently, and the one thing players need in order to develop and to gain confidence and to find their feet in a side is playing time. If they're not getting that, they stagnate, they rot away on the bench, and you lose that asset in terms of how good they can be. Very, very different situation, but we kind of saw this with Callum Hudson-Odoi. Picked up the Achilles tendon injury, wasn't able to play that much, and now look at him. So, and he was at that point, I think he was linked to Bayern Munich for like 80 million euros or something ridiculous like that. But that just goes to show you how quickly things can turn, and if Mudryk doesn't get this game time, and if he potentially doesn't get a loan away to play regular football, then he may be in trouble in terms of his development and how far he can actually go in his career if he stagnated this early on in terms of his playing time. Because coming into Chelsea, he hadn't actually had that many minutes on the field in terms of a professional footballer. I think Enzo Fernandez had like twice as much when he was like a few years younger. So he's actually fairly inexperienced when it comes to being a professional footballer at that age. But Bayern Munich would have been a fantastic loan for him. I think he'd be going to a side that is full to the brim with experienced, different ranges of expertise in different areas. The pressure, of course, wouldn't be on him. He'd be in the Bundesliga. They like to play high lines, so he'd have a field day against the high lines in the Bundesliga, working under a great manager in Thomas Tuchel, and alongside the likes of Jamal Musiala. So we could have seen maybe a partnership developing there. Jamal Musiala and Mudryk playing with each other. Oh! Oh, that's a horrible sentence. Oh, moving swiftly on from that. This is coming in from Ben Jacobs. Maurizio Pochettino on CFC's project. It's true we want results today, and it's difficult to wait. But look at Liverpool. At Spurs, we beat them 4-1 at Wembley in 2017, and a few years later, they won the Premier League and UCL. So that loss was not the end of the world. That UCL win was actually against you, mate, by the way. And it was one of the most boring, one-sided Champions League finals I think I've seen in a while. It was terrible. You were terrible. You bottled it with Spurs. But you're comparing lemons to oranges, basically. The one thing I think Pochettino is missing in this comparison is the fact that he's not Jurgen Klopp, and that we do not have a Michael Edwards. We have Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, who, in last video, I shared my thoughts on, but we do not have someone of the ilk of Michael Edwards when it comes to sporting directors. I wish we did. I wish we did. We may be able to get Txiki Begiristain once his contract ends at Man City, or maybe even buy him out of his contract at the end of this season with one season to go. I don't know how much it would cost, but in all honesty, Txiki Begiristain would be a far more impactful signing than a Victor Osimhen in terms of the long-term future of this club. He spent years and years at Barcelona cultivating a fantastic side in the 2000s, joined Man City, and since then they've become one of the most dominant sides in world football. They made great signings. He's been able to work with fantastic coaches in the past, specifically Pep Guardiola. We need someone like that, or even an Andrea Berta, or a Nep, the former Bayern Munich sporting director. But that's a topic for another video, which I have also done in the past. But that about wraps up today's video. What are your thoughts on Chelsea's FFP worries? Are Chelsea in crisis? I don't actually really think so in terms of the short term. In the long term, for sure, if we do not get European football, we are in trouble. But if we do get European football, I think we can rest a little bit easy. I think we'll be able to make the funds available before the 30th of June with, as I said, sales outlined earlier in this video. Let me know your thoughts on potentially Badiashile's move to AC Milan. How much do you think we would have got for him? Do you think he would have done well there? Let me know your thoughts on Mudryk potentially nearly on his way to Bayern on loan. Of course, it did fall through, but imagine that loan. How do you think that would have gone? And let me know your thoughts regarding the comments made by Maurizio Pochettino. Do you think we will be like Liverpool, and do you think we will win the Premier League and the Champions League within a couple of seasons? Honestly, under this current regime, under this strategy, under these sporting directors, and under this manager, I really don't think so. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like the video, like, comment, and subscribe. I've been the Quick Take, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you later.